XLM and XRP are two projects that I have talked about for over 4 years on this channel. And whenever I talk about them, I always make sure that you guys understand that these are two crucial pieces in the digital financial system that, we know from documents that they are going to be absolute massive players on a global scale. And in this video, I really want to address just how important both of these projects actually are, because when you look at the documents, when you look at the PDF files, when you look at the names that are pushing these two currencies, it's pretty crazy. And we have to address it. We have to talk about it. We have to be, aware of this, especially as investors in the space, because, the long-term path ahead is so bright. It is so bullish. And we're going to be addressing it in this video. So welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's dive on in and let's talk about a few things that are happening. Number one, XLM with the BIS. So Tokenizer put out a great post regarding some of the moves being made with Stellar and the BIS. Number one, we have evidence of the BIS connection with Stellar Network for CBDC use dates back to 2021. Here we could see they were already exploring RWA tokenization before it was a hot crypto trend. As we could see, Stellar served as the sole digital asset registry for all things digital assets, from tokenized money to assets. In this trial, they had tested against green bonds specifically, and the method of interoperability by a standardized API. As we'd seen from Hyperledger this year, Stellar also has some SATP compliant bridge solutions. This goes back to like QNT. But it goes beyond just being the digital registry for these institutional tokenized assets. The BIS themselves even state that Stellar is used as the main source of trust for facilitation and ownership. That's a massive statement by the BIS, and it really goes to show what they think of Stellar. When most think Stellar, they think towards just the retail P2P payments. But as we've seen, it's not just B2C or P2P payment solutions that they have taken notice of Stellar. So, yeah, I mean, when we think about this, there's a lot going on behind Stellar, right? You have tokenization with Franklin Templeton, CBDCs by the BIS, and also the Bank of Ukraine, and even more. But when we look at this image here, right, we have shareable assets blockchain middleware. Liberty uses shareable assets, even blockchain functions, to automate the platform through the Stellar network. These are the bond tokenization players: bond issuance and bond allocation, bond investment, whitelisting, wallet creation, wallet recovery, wallet migration, settlement and trading and ownership transfer, and stablecoin or CBDC payments. Through Project Genesis, the Stellar network is used as the main source of trust for facilitating transactions and changes in ownership structures. Like I said, when we think about Stellar, it's becoming a big piece of the system. You could see a lot of those use cases there, though. Bond tokenization, wallet creation. We have bond issuance, wallet recovery, bond allocation, wallet migration, bond investment, settlement, whitelisting, trading, and ownership transfer. Then on the bottom, we have access to the network is facilitated through the Stellar Horizon API. Then on the right side, we have digital assets are registered on a digital registry, in this case, a ledger that runs on the Stellar network. Then on the bottom, we do see a prototype for green bond tokenization by the Liberty Consortium. But the problem here is that this was not just a prototype. If we actually go over here, we have the BIS launches Asian Green Bond Fund. February 25th, 2022. This is managing about 3.5 billion in green bonds for the central banking community. This is to help channel central bank reserves to green projects in the region. Now, this doesn't tell us that it's on Stellar at all. But if we go over to Stellar's website, under the full package tokenizing securities on the Stellar network, this dates back to October 27th of 2023. If we scroll down, we could see all of the big moves that they are making. But down here, we do have, so these are the tokenization moves. Many major financial institutions trust the network's robust asset control features and efficiency to issue securities of their own, including money market funds and bonds, such as those issued by Franklin Templeton with Benji, Wisdom Tree with Wisdom Tree Prime, ABN AMRO with Digital Bond, and the Bank of International Settlement, the Asian Green Bond Fund. Now, when you click this, right, it takes you to the actual document, which is just a prototype for green bond tokenization by the Liberty Consortium. This already launched, though. That's the thing. This already launched. They're not actually giving us any of the information on what it's launching on. Of course, we have to do our own digging on this. But we know that this launched on Stellar, which is crazy that they're not giving us that information. But again, it is the BIS. But outside of this, also over here, July 18th of 2022, Stellar Development Foundation, eCurrency, and ANZ shortlisted in G20 Tech Sprint hosted by the BIS and the Bank of Indonesia. Again, when we look at Stellar, a lot of people don't know about these moves being made, but they are being made in silence. And if you do a little bit of digging, you can find this. This is why Stellar is so bullish to me. But also on top of this, remember that Stellar and also Ripple are two companies that are always, well, I shouldn't say always, but almost always on a lot of those documents that we address when it comes to like the future of finance, especially with a lot of like these new, payment protocols that will pretty much rule the world in the digital age of finance. But here we have, when the World Bank says it takes two to tango and only mentions XRP and XLM in the context of a two-tier monetary system, you should listen closely. XRP is designed for cross-border institutional liquidity, while XLM is focusing on peer-to-peer remittances. Now, again, it's not just P2P remittances. There's a lot more tied to Stellar, but yeah, that's like the main use case that we are always presented with when it comes to Stellar, which makes it kind of boring to a lot of people because they don't think that there's a lot of money behind that, but there actually is. Now, this got posted by Black Swan Capitalists. Over here, though, we can actually see from the BIS. So this is the BIS's main goal, right? They said that improvements to payment systems require global coordination and cooperation between stakeholders in both the public and private sectors. This is where you start to see those big banks, those big, names, collaborating with names like Ripple and Stellar. Cross-border transactions are growing rapidly thanks to digital transformations and new international settlement rails, but a host of international payment frustrations and reconciliation frictions still exist. These are what they're trying to solve right now. And by the way, over here, January 7th of this year, the BIS Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure, the CPMI group, the same group that Ripple is a part of, is taking additional steps to facilitate the governance and maintenance of its harmonized ISO 20022 data requirements for enhancing cross-border payments. In this, right, this is the BIS CPMI takes further steps to promote ISO 20022 harmonization for enhanced cross-border payments. In this document right here, we have the announcement should provide clarity to industry regarding the medium-term governance and maintenance of the harmonized data requirements during the period of global transition to the ISO 20022 messaging standard. These steps also provide impetus to industry-led efforts to develop ISO 20022 market practice guidelines for cross-border fast payments. But we also have here that the CPMI to take steps for medium-term governance and maintenance of its harmonized ISO 20022 data requirements for enhancing cross-border payments. A panel of global ISO 20022 market practice groups will be established in early 2025 to support the regular maintenance of the data requirements. The CPMI to promote and support industry efforts to develop global ISO 20022 market practice guidelines for fast payments based on the harmonized data requirements. This is very, very interesting because it seems as though many big moves are being made right now around ISO 20022, which is the messaging platform or the messaging standard to support a lot of these new platforms around DLT-based payments. This is very exciting stuff. Now, also on top of this, we have over here, this is the harmonized ISO 20022 data requirements for enhancing cross-border payments comments. This goes back to 2023. Look at the two names on here, Ripple and also Zinfin, a name nobody talks about with XDC. Interesting. Again, this is why I also talk about XDC quite a bit. But Ripple is on here because Ripple is a part of the CPMI group. Also over here, we have the BIS list even central banks in the unified cross-border payment system, including Japan's, all partnered with Ripple to use XRP for settlements. Meanwhile, the SEC is set to meet with Ripple. Now, this was going back to October 30th. I want to bring this up because this is Project Agora. I want to mention that a lot of these projects that we do see from the BIS do include a lot of partner names tied back to Ripple, tied back to Stellar. For an example, you have the Bank of France, the Bank of Japan, the Bank of Korea, the Bank of Mexico, Swiss National Bank, and also the Federal Reserve Bank of New York through its New York Innovation Center, and also the Bank of England. A lot of these players tied right back to Ripple through proof of concepts or even just actual partnerships. And all of this is based on tokenization. Tokenization has the potential to be the next frontier in the long trend of digitalization of money. Tokens could combine digital representation of commercial or central bank money with instructions and could be programmed with smart contracts to streamline processes and simplify complex tasks. We believe that this can unlock types of contracts and transactions that are not viable today. Very interesting. But also, even when you look at some of these working papers like this one from 2023, you have Ripple's XRP mentioned and also Stellar mentioned here. Again, when we look at what's happening, Stellar and Ripple are always mentioned on a lot of these documents. Not to mention that a lot of these major conferences like this one that was in the UK, London, UK, back in September of last year, September 23rd through the 24th, right? This was an event set to pave the way with the upcoming series of events during the Payments Innovation and Technology Week. And when we look at the names there, you have Ripple and Stellar Development Foundation. Again, two names that are always at a lot of these big conferences, always on a lot of these documents. These are the two main players that everyone should be paying attention to, especially when it goes back to, even names, right? A lot of the names that are on the board of directors, on the leadership team, partnerships that they're, signing. It's actually crazy how embedded XRP and XLM are already through the names of Ripple and Stellar. Again, this is why I always bring up the fact that, like, when we look at the central bank of central banks, aka the BIS, what they're doing, combined with like the IMF, the World Bank, all of these big players, they are telling you in code, kind of have to read through it. They're there in documents, right? As you guys can see here, they're telling you the names that you should be paying attention to. By the way, a lot of these documents outline how, Bitcoin and even Ethereum are not going to be the big winners. They're not going to be the chosen ones. But this is why I keep saying, like, XRP and XLM are so special in their very own way. You need to be paying attention to these two. You need to be doing the research. You need to be studying these two. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.